asked several times for a model for creationism since I have never seen one. I was sent the following URL. So I went to see if there was a testable scientific model for creation. Guess what? There isn't one. The page is entitled, A Theory of Creation. Curiously, the subtitle reads, A response to the pretense that no creation theory exists. Nowhere on this page do they state the actual scientific definition for the hypothesis of creation. The entire page is an attack on evolutionary biology, including outright lies presented in a table comparing creationism and evolution. Making the claim that evolution isn't even falsifiable is as dishonest as you can be. It even includes the following quote, taken verbatim from the site itself. Some advocates of evolutionism have also assumed a right to reject the creationary paradigm because it does not explain in detail exactly how, in scientific terms comprehensible to the mind of man, the Creator performed the act of creation. The argument goes something like this. It is not a valid theory unless you can explain exactly how the so-called act of creation took place. But the speaker has failed to recognize at least two things as he seeks to impose this demand. The very nature of the creationary paradigm precludes man as a created being from any right or entitlement to the exhaustive knowledge of the Creator's ways or means. It is an act of arrogance for the creature to claim entitlement from the Creator for more information than the Creator has chosen to reveal, as if he had the capability to comprehend in the first place. The Creationist thus can and will claim to know no more about the act of creation than what the Creator has chosen to reveal. By demanding a how explanation, the evolutionist has invoked a double standard, since the evolutionary hypothesis ultimately fails to produce an empirically substantiated explanation as to how everything happened all by itself with no apparent cause or purpose, unable to explain exactly how matter and energy appeared where previously there was nothing, and unable to explain exactly how genetic information appeared in massive amounts where previously there was none, the evolutionist is scarcely entitled to demand to know how it was done by the Creator. This is what they think defines their theory of creation. How things work is an essential component in science. Evolutionary biology has provided an explanation of how evolution works, and it has done so in great detail. 5 minutes with the search engine will provide detailed information on the subject. Essentially, this is a case of yet another creationist site claiming honesty, throwing mud at evolutionary biologists, claiming that evolutionary proponents are setting a double standard while doing exactly the same thing themselves. The reason that they can't explain how creation works is because it's claimed that the supernatural, God, did it. Thunderfoot can answer this one for me.
Why couldn't there have been an intelligent designer?
Because, Stein, for it to be science, it has to constitute a growth in the knowledge of mankind. The supernatural, by definition, cannot be studied by naturalistic means. It is, by definition, an unknown. Proposing the supernatural as an explanation for anything is merely replacing one unknown, say for instance where did the universe come from, with another one. The supernatural. The supernatural is nothing more than an intellectually lazy patch used by the weak-minded to cover unknowns, such that they can create a comfortable delusion of knowledge for themselves. While this may be reassuring for creationists, it merely inhibits the growth of knowledge. Putting supernatural stickers on everything that is currently unexplained is merely a path to an intellectual dead end. This is why scientists do not pursue this intellectually pointless exercise.
Now, in making these statements on this site, the author of this page has committed a number of logical fallacies. The blindingly obvious one is a misrepresentation of what evolution involves. He has drawn from other fields of study such as cosmology, abiogenesis, and thrown them all together, which is not how science works. I'll come back to this. First, I'm going to pick up on a few statements. It is an act of arrogance for the creature to claim entitlement from the Creator for more information than the Creator has chosen to reveal, as if he had the capability to comprehend it in the first place. Frankly, this statement is insulting to the intelligence of human beings whose only desire is to further the knowledge of humanity. Imagine if someone made the statement 2000 years ago that it is the supreme act of arrogance for the creature to know how the Creator causes lightning to strike, as if he had the capability to comprehend the explanation in the first place. This insults people's intelligence. And if it were really true that we would not be able to comprehend the explanation of how the Creator made lightning, then we would never have discovered how weather systems, seismic events, cosmological processes, and other modern scientific endeavours work. Yet we do comprehend these things. One should never insult the intelligence of an intellectual species such as Homo sapiens sapiens and expect to be taken seriously. We may not be the most intelligent life in the galaxy, depending on whether there is an advanced civilization anywhere else, but we are the most intelligent species on the planet, and we have learned and developed as a species since we picked up the very first tool and started making fire. To make the statement above is, frankly, to shit on the achievements of humanity.
Oh, who's going to care in 1,000 years? A person that spends his time considering what God has done is just not impressed with what man can do.
By demanding a how explanation, the evolutionist has invoked a double standard, since the evolutionary hypothesis ultimately fails to produce an empirically substantiated explanation as to how everything happened all by itself, with no apparent cause or purpose. This sentence alone demonstrates the apparent ignorance that the author of this creationist website has made in relation to the theory of evolution. Once again, and I will restate this as many times as I have to, evolution is the change in the frequency of alleles in a population over time. That's it. That's all there is to it. It's about how life adapts to its environment. Evolution is not about how matter and energy appeared where previously there was nothing. It certainly has absolutely nothing to do with how genetic information appeared in massive amounts where previously there was none. So to make the statement that the evolutionist is scarcely entitled to demand to know the how it was done by the Creator is as misleading as anything else a creationist can say about evolutionary biology. Now there is an explanation of how simple chemicals underwent a process to create more complex chemical bonds, and there's an explanation as to how those chemical bonds then went on to produce more complex structures known as RNA, which then progressed to develop into DNA, and then at some point on to bacteria. This is called abiogenesis, and while we may not have all the answers to either the question of abiogenesis, cosmology, or even evolution, we do have a pretty good working idea of how these things happened. In conclusion, for all the pompous chest-beating and pious holier-than-thou posturing that His truth be known has made in claiming that there is a model for creation, there is not. Nothing on any creationist website, including this one, gives a testable model for their claim that God done it. And what it comes down to is that their creationary paradigm is completely unscientific. It belongs in the church. It has been overturned not only by evolution, but by cosmology, abiogenesis, geology, physics, and a number of other sciences. It is religious dogma dressed up in a number of other pseudonyms, including the failed one, intelligent design. In short, there is no model for creationism on the True.Origin site. The next couple of videos I make will cover the dishonesty that True.Origin has perpetuated in making the claim that Talk Origins is being dishonest. I will show that True.Origin, not Talk Origins, has been dishonest and committed the lie of omission in their propaganda.